final day. The beta will close at 10 a.m. PT tomorrow, so when I go to bed tonight, this is going to be the last time I get to play Fellowship for, I think it's going to be 3 weeks, which is tragic. The wait time for this game has been 8 months between the Next Fest demo and now, I think, something like that, and then now we're in the last little bit, so I just kind of wanted to give some closing thoughts on Fellowship and sort of describe what I'm going to do for the plans going forward. So really quick, the plans are that I'm going to have a couple of videos coming out every maybe once a week, give or take, up until the release of the game. And then once we get access to the early access release, I'm going to be going in and covering all the new heroes and playing the absolute hell out of this game. Gonna try to solo queue my way to Paragon unless I wind up running into some people. And I'll be friending pretty much everyone as I go and covering the process as I climb through the ranks. So do look forward to that. Otherwise, I just kind of wanted to talk about everything all in all. And so far, it has been an absolutely amazing experience. The heroes themselves are exceptionally fun to play. They're just the right balance of exceptionally easy to pick up with a lot of depth that you can unlock through buildcraft and personal buildcraft too. You can mix and match between a decent amount of options. A lot of things do feel viable. There are some characters that are just relatively above the others, which is a bit of a shame. But we'll have to see how their balancing structure goes. If they decide that they want to like bring everything else up instead of bringing the like top performers down, then we'll have a much better time unless we get power crept. So we'll have to see. Maybe the game will have to get harder if they decide to go that way. But so far, it has been an exceptionally good time. Like I said, just enough depth in the buildcraft to allow you to take like the base version of a character and then really craft it towards your playstyle. Like with Mara, for example, if you enjoy spreading the bleeds a little more and you enjoy playing like Assassin Rogue, you can lean towards Assassin Rogue. Or if you enjoy playing Sub Rogue, you can lean towards Sub Rogue and some of the talents for like build variety and what have you, and then combo those with specific weapons and then gems and all that sort of stuff. Although I didn't get deep enough to unlock those sorts of things. I also started doing a little bit of healing at the end, so that was really nice. Had a really good time with that. Sylvie is very, very easy. She's like a mix of Resto Druid and Resto Shaman, but she is so brain off easy that like, I don't know, I was almost falling asleep in my keys. It was a lot of fun though. She was, like, it is crazy to be able to think about the fact if I got enough haste and enough crit that you would just be able to put your flutterflies on everyone and AFK. And, like, they could pull the rest of the dungeon and contender. Like, it's a very unique dynamic that this game has going on. Because whereas in, like, other competitive games, or what have you, people in Paragon coming back to do lower keys would be exceptionally unfun. Like, there would be turbo smurfing all over you, and it would just suck. But Fellowship has a very unique dynamic where people coming back to lower keys with higher gear actually feels great for everyone involved, because healing on Sylvie basically gave me the idea that like if I came back with Paragon gear or something, like if I wanted to be the ultra support player to support new players getting into Fellowship, if I played Sylvie with literal Paragon gear and came back to help people through contender runs, I could literally, if I had enough haste and crit, put all of my like flutterflies on people and just AFK. Like the runs would be so easy. You could boost people so easily. But, like, Fellowship isn't even a game where that's a bad thing, particularly. And if they nail the mercenary system out of the park, then it'll actually be incentivized to go back and do those sorts of things, which is spectacular for game longevity, because it's like, so long as you have a reason for higher keyed players to go back and do lower keys, maybe you get like a daily queue contender bonus or something like that that most people want to go through and get. As long as it doesn't wind up toxic of like, oh, you need to know the routes and all this even in contender, which would kind of suck. If we got to that point, that'd be a little bit tragic, but so long as we don't get there, there's a pretty bright future ahead, aside from the fucking inactivity warning, which is a massive pain in the ass. Hopefully that goes. But yeah, the actual gameplay of Fellowship is genuinely spectacular. As someone who's played like a lot of World of Warcraft, this feels like a private server launch from way back in the day, like when all these new servers would pop up out of complete nowhere and you get to like go through and start playing them from absolute zero, learn everything. Nobody knew anything, so like people were discussing tech in the chat and all that sort of stuff. Like those days are always fun. The days before everything's like always figured out and all mathed out and whatnot are always fun, no matter what game you play, which is the main reason people go and like swap around all the time, right? So we'll have to see if Fellowship gets to a point where it gets solved. I kind of hope that doesn't happen, but there's gonna be like a way to solve it, unfortunately, especially at like higher tiers. But I hope there's interesting enough balance patches to make it so that you can bring any hero rather than just like specific team comps, or else you're trolling and you're toxic and etc etc, which could happen, but we'll have to see how it winds up going. I hope that's not the case, but my experience with Fellowship and with solo queuing so far has actually been exceptional. I've had maybe like one or two people that were like slightly annoying, and this is from playing like DPS, tank, and healer. I've now played all three roles, and yeah, I think I had 2 or 3 toxic encounters, and this was just raw solo queuing off stream, so, maybe you had a different experience, I couldn't tell you. But the nicest part by far is trying to get people to re-queue and do like a bunch of dungeons together. It'd be really nice if they would add in a system where if you do like 2 or 3 keys with a solo queue team, that you get like bonus loot or something. Like if you quick play into a team, not quick play, but like contender search into a team, then you guys do key 2, key 3, key 4. Like by key 4, everyone gets like an extra piece past the dungeon, or like on extra dungeons or something like that, which only applies for quick play teams, would actually be like exceptional. That would mean that even with a small amount of players, once you found a group, it would be incentivized to keep going. So even if the like player count gets lower, you can still get like 4 or 5 or 6 chain games in, rather than just sitting in like a 30-minute queue. The queues to begin with were pretty tragic. The biggest thing I think I figured out was that the reason most people can't get into the contender league is like you need to have this node unlocked, and I think for some reason this node makes the matchmaking work because you can queue into the matchmaking without all of this unlocked, and then you'll wind up with like a 5-minute queue. So I think that's what was happening, at least for me, was this node requires you to get 5 eye level, and then it'll unlock the contender league. So basically like do a quick match or two, and then spend those quick match tokens on the character gear, and then you unlock the node. But the thing is like you can still queue contender, so long as you had it unlocked on your account, like on any new hero. But I think if you queued it at any new hero, that was what was breaking the queue system. I'm not entirely sure, because it was weird, because I had the same problem happen with Artios and Sylvie, of like just getting 5 to 8 minute to 10-minute contender queues and couldn't find matches. And then I'd switch to other characters and I'd get matches instantly. And I was so confused, because it was the exact same queue. And I was like, was it just eye level? Like, so that might have been what it was, where it's like the node is a count unlocked, so that like the difficulty was like queuable, but then you would queue it and then you wouldn't actually be able to find a match if you didn't have the node slotted. I think that was the case, but I don't know, don't quote me on that one. It was just kind of weird. But finally got to start finding matches on healer. It was really, really fun. I didn't get to play Vigor or Miko. I think it's Miko. Didn't get to play her at all, but I got a little bit of Sylvie in, which was really fun. Got a little bit of Helena in to start. She's okay. I think Mako is a lot better and more reliable. Even still, like just from my experience tanking, or my experience DPSing, and now my experience healing, is that Mako plus Sylvie's like passive healing is just way too broken. Especially like if I could get geared and come back and then just have like a low geared Mako tank, we could just pull half the dungeon in one go. And it'll be interesting to see how that actually works, thinking about it now. Like if you come back and you have like champ gear and you can't find queues in adept or champ, so you just go and play contender. And then you wind up doing like a +7, and the entire team has like 300 eye level or something stupid. Or that would be like probably 200 eye level, something like that. I don't know. That would be crazy. You guys just pull everything in one go and speed through. We'll have to see how it turns out. Hopefully we'll be able to actually find games all the way up on early access release. But we'll also have to see how many months it's going to take in between patches. I would assume they're going to do like 3-month seasons, I would hope. Because if they do that, then most of these seasons will last like a month, or like, 2 weeks to a month. Because I think even in the 6 days we have now, I'm curious how high people got. I assume they all got the Paragon, most likely. Yeah, 4,000 key rating. The top team is Rhyme, Ardios, Sylvie, and Helena. Oh, interesting. Cool. And then it is Mara, Rhyme, Helena, and Sylvie. I'm surprised Omeko didn't win. Interesting. It's nice, though, that there is a representation for every single hero in the top 20. Which is a showcase of very, very good balance. And they're not really hero stacking either. Which is also surprising. So, they balanced exceptionally well. There's a couple of people that, like, need a little bit more. And or maybe a little tuning down. But, all in all, my experience with Fellowship was absolutely fantastic, honestly. Server problems were a massive pain in the ass, but everyone will say the same thing. They need to make sure the servers are sorted out for launch, because if not, they're going to lose their opportunity so heavily. And I really don't want to see that happen, because this game is so much fun. Just the fact that, like, I can hop on, play like 2-3 keys, and then go play something else or do something else or whatever have you, is just so good. You know, it's like, what if we turned World of Warcraft into a roguelike that you could just pick up and put down at pretty much any point? And that's just exceptional. You're not spending 50 minutes in the Mythic Key LFG or anything like that. You're just pressing a button, finding a dungeon, and going. Which is absolutely awesome. And for 3 weeks is going to be real tragic. Which is why I'm probably going to go do the Guild Wars 2 Fractal Quick Play event for the next 14 days. Which is basically Fellowship at the same time. And I'm going to pray they don't get rid of it. So then I can play it for the next week. And or the extra week after. And then I'll have Fellowship back and we'll be back in business. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much my closing thoughts. Game's fun. Gonna suck not having it for a while. Hopefully the Archer hero they're rumored to have on release is gonna be exceptionally good. Tariq's supposed to be coming back as well, which will be great. I'll definitely be covering him as well. On full release, I will either main the Archer hero, or main Tariq if the Archer hero doesn't exist. And then if Tariq kind of sucks, if they changed him at all, and there's no Archer hero, then I might just main Rhyme. We'll see. I could also main Sylvie. We'll see. I think I might main Sylvie later into a patch, because what I think will probably happen is if we're going based off like how queues are going right now, like there's a lack of DPS players. Most people are playing healer and tank. So if what I do is I start seasons with DPS, push turbo hard, because that means that people aren't going to be, like, if they're not queuing DPS, I can find DPS games relatively easily. And then as we get deeper into the season, I'll probably switch to like Sylvie or Vigor or some of the other healers, and support people through keys that way, either by healing or tanking for them when there's like less people in those roles, because most people will eventually fall off, like, you know, a month or two in. The fact that you can do multiple different gear sets and different heroes and what have you is exceptionally nice as well. So it'll basically be like a soft restart to go and play Sylvie for a week after playing like a month's worth of Rhyme or, you know, a month's worth of Tariq. And then by that point, you know, you play like 2 weeks of this hero, 2 weeks of this hero, a month of this hero, season reset, you know, depending. We'll have to see how often they do a server reset. I'd say like every 3 months is probably pretty good, I want to say. But that might also be like too quick for people to get gear. Like, you need to find a balance between the journey to get the gear being worth it, the time you then spend with the gear being worth it, and then, you know, the reset to go and get it again also being worth it. Because if any of those things don't line up, people just don't feel the want to get to the power level. Because, like, even with World of Warcraft, for example, like, you get to that point and you know that in a year from now, all of your gear is going to be pointless, right? I mean, like, in the beta, it's obviously the exact same. It's like, oh, all my gear is going to be pointless in, you know, 10 hours, whatever have you. But the point of it is, obviously, you're playing it for fun, right? But there should be rewards and that sort of stuff in Fellowship Season 1 or what have you. But every beta is technically like Season 0. So, you know, it was fun. I hope they have a lot of good incentives. And so far, I'd say probably a solid 8 out of 10 across the board. I think you can get up to 9 out of 10. You fix the server problems. And then, well, what would give it the 10 out of 10? I think being able to pause the keys and bring people in the middle of the key would probably bring it up to a pretty solid 10 out of 10 for me. A couple of things that still need to happen. And, you know, a couple more incentives for people to stay together as a team if you're solo queuing. And then I think we're getting real close to a 10 out of 10. So definitely one of my favorite games of the past like decade, if not longer. This is like the closest thing to a literal Guild Wars 1 successor I think I have ever played, with the instance content mixed with like the World of Warcraft style gameplay and like, you know, the abilities, the talent system and whatnot, hero system, literally the exact same as Guild Wars 1 hero system of sorts, except you're playing them like it's League of Legends. It's fantastic. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna play an ungodly amount of it when I get my hands on the EA release. If you want to add me in game, feel free. Once that rolls around. Otherwise, there's going to be a couple of videos coming out probably once a week up until then. And when I get my hands on the game, we are full steam ahead. Maybe I'll even stream. We'll see. See you fellas there.